Imagine stepping into a grand cathedral in Rome. The light filters through stained glass, gold shimmers across elaborate altars, and above you stretches a ceiling that feels alive. Angels tumble from the heavens, clouds swirl, and saints lean out of the painted sky as though they might land right on your shoulders. This is the world of Baroque art, dramatic, emotional, and full of secrets waiting to be uncovered. Baroque art, which blossomed in the 17th century, is often described as theatrical, excessive, and overwhelming. But beneath all that drama hides a sophisticated network of symbols. These were not random decorations. They were messages encoded into paint, marble, and light. They spoke of faith, power, morality, politics, and sometimes even rebellion. The key is knowing how to read them. Let's start with Caravaggio, one of the most controversial figures of the Baroque era. His painting The Calling of St. Matthew in the Conarelli Chapel in Rome seems straightforward. Christ points at Matthew, summoning him from his tax collector's table. But look closer. The light, a single, sharp beam, doesn't just illuminate Matthew. It becomes the very symbol of divine intervention, cutting through the shadows of greed and corruption. The hands of Christ in Matthew echo the gesture from Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel ceiling, reminding viewers of humanity's connection to God. To a 17th century audience, this wasn't just a scene from the Bible. It was a coded message about grace, about the power of choice, about light piercing the darkness of sin. Now, walk with me to Vienna's Belvedere Palace. Inside hangs Rubens's allegory of the outbreak of war. At first glance, it's chaos. Mars charges forward, dragging war in his wake, while harmony and peace collapse in despair. But Rubens wasn't simply painting destruction. Every figure, every object carries meaning. The broken lute, a symbol that harmony, both musical and political, is destroyed by conflict. The desperate woman clutching her child, a reminder of the innocent lives torn apart. Even the temple in the background, crumbling under the weight of Mars, reveals how war devastates not just bodies, but culture itself. To a courtly audience, the painting was more than art. It was a warning, a plea for diplomacy hidden inside mythological allegory. Baroque art was never neutral. It was a weapon in the hands of the church, of kings, of anyone who knew how to wield imagery. Take Bernini's Ecstasy of St. Teresa in the Cornaro Chapel in Rome. On the surface, it's a religious vision, Teresa pierced by the angel's arrow of divine love. But look at the details. Teresa's tilted head, her parted lips, her heavy eyelids. The scene radiates an intensity that feels almost sensual. The message? Spiritual experience is not cold or abstract. It is passion. It is fire. It is something that consumes the body as much as the soul. To devout Catholics, this was proof of the living power of faith. To critics, it was dangerously close to eroticism. Bernini knew exactly what he was doing, and his hidden message was that religion itself could overwhelm you, body and spirit. Move with me to Madrid, to Velázquez's masterpiece Las Meninas. On the surface, it's a portrait of a young Infanta Margarita with her ladies-in-waiting. But this is no simple portrait. Look again. Velázquez himself stands in the frame, brush in hand, painting. What? The mirror at the back wall reflects King Philip IV and Queen Mariana. Are they standing outside the canvas, posing, or are they the true subject of the painting Velázquez is working on? The painting becomes a labyrinth of perspectives, a puzzle about reality, representation, and power. Velázquez embeds a message about the very act of seeing, who has the right to be represented, who controls the gaze, and how art constructs authority. This was no accident. It was a clever way of embedding philosophical questions into a royal portrait. Baroque painters also loved slipping in personal commentary. In Rembrandt's The Night Watch, the central figures stride forward as if into battle. But why is one man brightly illuminated while others fade into shadow? Scholars now believe Rembrandt encoded messages about civic pride, hidden rivalries, and even corruption within Amsterdam's militia companies. What looks like a straightforward group portrait is really a play of symbols, highlighting who held power, who was sidelined, and who perhaps paid the most for their place on the canvas. Sometimes, the hidden messages were political, other times deeply spiritual. In Peter Paul Rubens is the elevation of the cross. The diagonal thrust of Christ's body is not just dynamic composition, it's propaganda. Painted in Antwerp during the Counter-Reformation, the muscular Christ being hoisted upward symbolized the strength of Catholic faith, a counter to Protestant simplicity. To Catholic viewers, the hidden message was clear. This is the true church, the church of drama, sacrifice, and triumph. And then there are the still lives. At first glance, they might look simple, a bowl of fruit, a vase of flowers, a table set for a feast. But Baroque still life painters turned these into puzzles of mortality. A half-peeled lemon, beautiful but bitter. A wilting flower, past its prime. A skull tucked among books and instruments. These Vanitas paintings whispered a quiet but urgent message: life is short, all beauty fades. Wealth, knowledge, even power, none can escape death. For viewers at the time, these works weren't just decoration for dining rooms, they were meditations on the meaning of existence. We can't forget the ceilings, the breathtaking Baroque illusionism that still leaves visitors dizzy today. Step into the Church of St. Ignatius in Rome and look up. Andrea Pozzo's fresco explodes the ceiling into a vision of heaven, with saints soaring into infinity. But here's the trick: the church couldn't afford to build the massive dome originally planned. So Pozzo painted one, a fake dome, an illusion that tricks the eye into believing stone and plaster open up into sky. His hidden message? Faith can transform limits into miracles. Architecture may fail, but imagination can create eternity. Baroque art was constantly playing this double game. On the surface, beauty, glory, spectacle. Underneath, coded messages about politics, faith, mortality, and power. The artists knew their audiences were not passive. They expected viewers to engage, to puzzle, to read the paintings like texts. In fact, many of these works worked almost like secret conversations between artist and patron, or between the church and the faithful. Even the use of light in Baroque painting carried symbolic weight. Think of the chiaroscuro of Caravaggio, where darkness was not just background but a character in the story. Light became the voice of God, the flash of truth, the exposure of sin. In contrast, shadows hid danger, temptation, or the unknown. To watch a Caravaggio painting was to step into a stage lit for drama, where morality itself was being acted out. Let's look at another layer: the power of hidden gestures. In many altarpieces, you'll notice figures pointing, looking, or leaning in certain directions. These were not random, they guided the viewer's gaze, almost like arrows embedded in the composition. In Rubens's works, eyes and hands often lead us upward, toward heaven, toward salvation. In Velázquez, the sideways glances and mirrored reflections force us to question what we see. In Rembrandt, the spotlight of light itself becomes a silent gesture, telling us where to look and what to understand. Travel with me now to Paris, to the Louvre, where Georges de la Tour's candlelit scenes whisper secrets in the dark. His Magdalene with the smoking flame shows Mary Magdalene in contemplation, a single candle casting both light and shadow. The skull on her lap is no decoration, it's a stark reminder of death, of penitence, of the fleeting nature of beauty. Yet the flame, fragile but bright, symbolizes hope, faith, the soul's endurance. La Tour's message is hidden in plain sight. Even in darkness, light persists. Why did Baroque artists love hiding messages? Because they lived in an age of tension, between Catholic and Protestant, between monarchy and rebellion, between science and faith. Speaking too openly could be dangerous. Symbolism became a safe language, one that conveyed powerful truths while hiding behind allegory and metaphor. A viewer in the know could decode the message, others simply saw beauty. This double vision gave Baroque art its power. It worked on many levels at once. And what about the patrons, the kings, popes, and nobles who commissioned these works? They wanted more than decoration. They wanted propaganda, but elegant propaganda. A ceiling that proclaimed the triumph of their dynasty, a chapel that whispered of divine authority, a portrait that confirmed their legitimacy. The hidden messages flattered, reinforced, and sometimes even warned those in power. Think about Versailles, where Louis XIV declared himself the Sun King. Every hallway, every painting, every sculpted relief repeated the same message: Louis is the center of the universe. The imagery was not subtle. Apollo, the sun god, appears again and again. But the hidden layer? By aligning himself with Apollo, Louis XIV wasn't just saying he was powerful. He was saying his power was cosmic, natural, divine. To walk through Versailles was to be immersed in a theater of symbolism that left no doubt about who ruled France. Even music and theater of the Baroque age shared this symbolic richness, weaving layers of meaning into performance. But painting and sculpture were the most enduring. They sit in churches and palaces today, still whispering their coded messages to anyone willing to listen. So next time you stand in front of a Baroque painting, don't just admire the drama. Ask yourself, what's the hidden message? What does that crumbling column mean? Why is that flower already wilting? Why is that angel looking not at the saint, but at you? These are not accidents. They are invitations, clues, fragments of a conversation across centuries. Baroque art wasn't just about showing the world. It was about transforming the viewer. It drew you in, dazzled you, overwhelmed you, and then left you with something to think about. A secret, a warning, a promise. These works remind us that art is never just decoration. It is a language, and the Baroque masters were fluent in speaking directly to the human soul. So the next time you wander into a church in Rome, or a palace in Vienna, or a gallery in Madrid, look again. Behind the gold and marble, behind the swirling angels and shadowed corners, you might just discover the secret messages still waiting, centuries later, for someone like you to decode them. If you enjoyed watching, be sure to hit that like button. It truly makes a difference for the channel. Pass this video along to a friend who enjoys a great mystery. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do that so you don't miss what's coming next. There's still so much to explore, and I'd love to have you join me for it.